Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here today with you, Taylor. I know you are the rainmaker and owner of the Frampton team here in Orem, Utah,
Yeah.
and you about 8 months ago made the transition to Command, right?
Yep. Yeah, I was one of those early adopters.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about. Obviously, it's been 8 months in the system now. Where did you come from before you started using Command?
Yeah. So my whole team was on Boomtown before I started using Command. So I know a lot of other big teams used Boomtown fully and are still are right now.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of things that I absolutely loved about Boomtown, and doing that transition, that jump was first of all for the dollar cost was huge, right? I mean, Boomtown, I was spending just about $2,000 a month
Oh, wow.
alone for that Boomtown, that website, that's that CRM there. Um, but we loved it. We were using it well. So once the news came out about Command, we definitely had that conversation and took that leap of faith.
So tell me a little bit about that. Why did you choose to be an early adopter?
Well, the first thing for us was when we really dove into doing them like for that little bit of side by side. We realized, yeah, there was a lot of perks about Boomtown that we weren't utilizing enough to say that we were producing the dollars. We knew that we could do those two extra things on the side and get the same results and cut out literally, $2,000 a month. So to free up 24K a year is only decent.
That's a little bit of money to your bottom line.
Yeah.
And so what it sounds like then is, yes, Boomtown has a lot of functionality and opportunities, but you weren't necessarily utilizing that 100%.
No, we weren't. So
Okay.
there was a lot of perks and a lot of cool things with Boomtown, but we weren't using it to the highest level that we could have at that point as well. So we could have pushed to get there, or we could have shaved off 2K. And we decided that diving into Command and utilizing that while it's growing was more worth having the $2,000 and learning from our experience.
Awesome. And so tell me a little bit about the functionality, or I guess the process you went through to transition your business from Boomtown to Command, kind of how that worked for you. Because I know that's a big question a lot of teams have is, okay, we want to make the transition, but where do we even start?
Right. No, and honestly, that was a challenge. And eight months ago, it was actually more of a challenge than it is today. Right? Like
Hmm.
Command has gotten so much better in the past 8 months than it was back then.
Practically not even the same system anymore, is it?
Yeah, to a large degree. So um, we did a mix of things on our team. So what we did was I actually had a mix of importing everyone in through the sheet, and then having it where I called for those next 90 days off of my printed sheet that I had for everybody, and I filled in all that extra information. So I did a little bit of side by side for almost the 90 days. I don't think I made it the whole cycle before we turned the whole thing off. But we did a lot of the making sure that all of our notes were from one to the other. We did a lot of that. For the last, it was probably closer to 60 that I was doing a little side by side. And the last 30-ish days, I had an assistant. So I just paid, actually my wife, I paid her to sit down and at nights and just pound through every single contact and copy all of their information and make sure it was correct with the notes into Command. So it was all in one system.
So you did a bulk export from Boomtown, pulled everyone out, moved them into the new Command system, and then you went through and just called down the list of every contact and made sure you filled any gaps you didn't have.
Exactly, because I wanted to make sure not only did I have that extra information while I was filling out the new one, but I wanted to still have the past notes that I had. Because I go through, and when I'm having a conversation, I flesh out every conversation that I have in that
Mhm.
software, so that I can then not have it in here and be filled with a whole bunch of facts about different people, but I can look it up anytime and be like, oh yeah, so and so, you liked this, this, and this, and I would make sure I would remember.
Absolutely. And Taylor, I want to commend you. I know you're very consistent about talking to your database and staying in touch with them every 90 days. Did making that transition force you to get even more purposeful in that to make sure you had all the correct contact information?
I think in a lot of ways, yes. And it also helped me realize that, not everyone in my database was equal.
Tell
So
me more about that.
For me, before I put everyone in and really started like looking at the notes that I was having and everything, I was kind of like calling everyone pretty consistently because I've that's just what I am. But not only was that, it was everyone was basically equal on how I treated them. But I realized that when I was putting people in and like creating those new systems and tags, and I was like, honestly, people aren't equal. Like, I shouldn't treat so and so who gives me multiple deals the same as, this other person who doesn't ever answer my phone. Like, they probably know I'm an agent because I leave them 4 voicemails a quarter, or not a quarter, a year.
Mhm.
But, they're definitely not the same as it was just interesting to really figure that out.
It forced you to be more purposeful about where you're investing your time and resources
Right.
to the parts of your database that are giving you a higher return on investment.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's awesome. Well, let's fast forward to you've made the transition. You're in command now. What you said about 8 months. How has it been? Obviously, command has come a long way in the last 8 months, but
Right.
what successes and things have you learned from this experience?
Honestly, a lot. Like, one of the big successes was actually implementing. I feel like a very much better system to figure out, who is in my most important tribe and who's not, and where are people at, so I can give more of that time because the time is the biggest commodity I can give to those specific people. And how can I automate even more out to the people not only that are in my high one, but who are not? And Command's given me that opportunity to really go at a higher level and on a better time schedule that I can more focus on the right people.
Awesome. So if you had it all to do over again, and you were, say you were talking to another agent who was in your same shoes, but they were ready to make the transition now, what's the biggest piece of advice you'd give them?
That's a good question. For me, it would be, I think, really about the tags. I really have enjoyed tags and knowing where people are at in my database and how I can best help them, which definitely has not only saved me time but been able to prioritize the people that I work with.
Awesome. So utilizing tags at a higher level and really kind of getting more purposeful about how you're talking to your database.
Yeah.
I love that. Is there anything else you'd want to share with people?
I mean, there's a lot. Like, I'm thinking, okay, smart plans are pretty freaking cool. Like, being able to send and do birthday messages to people, to be able to, not only mass text, but be able to text certain things out and have it be on a schedule. To, like, there's just a lot of things that you can automate and make it at a higher level for those people that you care about. Um, I mean, I was even joking with you. I created one for my wife so that it texts me a reminder of when I need to ask her on a date. And, oh, hey, it's automatically going to text all of the things that I typed out about how much I love her in a random order throughout the year. Like, just, different ways to continue to stay on top and in touch with those people that we really care about. And Command is really giving me the ability not only to do that on that level, which is fun, but to all of my clientele who I really adore and want to make sure they're taken care of.
Well, that's awesome. So it sounds like really the first step is someone's got to make that transition, get their database in, and then they can start playing with some of the really fun functionality to get more personal and more unique and connect on a one-to-one level with their database.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Taylor. It was great talking to you, and I look forward to hearing more successes and ahas you have as you continue to use the system.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely be in touch.
Great. Thank you so much.